Yo, what is going on, guys? It's your boy DuckyTheGamer back in with another video. Now, today's video, it's a juicer, it's a thick one, and that's because we're going to be talking about 120 FPS on Fortnite Mobile. Now, before I even get underway with anything in the video, I gotta lay down some disclaimers for you guys. Now, the first one is this is an educational video, meaning I'm not trying to persuade you. I'm not telling you guys to go out and use 120 FPS. I'm just trying to present the facts and just educate you guys on 120 FPS, because a lot of people in the mobile community have heard of 120 FPS. They've heard it's out, but no one seems to know what's going on. Hardly anyone has any facts straight. So no one seems to be making any videos on it, and I'll touch on that a little bit later, why no one is making videos on it. So I just wanted to make this video to sort of inform you guys today on 120 FPS and what the heck is going on with it. And on top of that, this is not a tutorial video. I would not be explaining you guys how to get 120 FPS. I would not be linking any tutorials, because this can actually get you banned. 120 FPS technically is breaking terms of service by doing something in the game you're not supposed to do. You actually have to change some of the settings in the game files itself, sort of like stretch res, but for this you're just unlocking your FPS or whatever. So technically you can get banned for this. That's why I'm not recommending it to you guys, and that's why this is an educational video, because even myself, I'm still a little scared of the fact that I'm doing this and making this video, but honestly I feel like it just needs to be made for the mobile community as a whole. Another thing about 120 FPS on mobile is that currently it only works on Apple devices, and even with that, it only works on devices with 120 hertz displays, which is the latest iPad Pro 2018. So 120 FPS can only be used on one device in the world, and that is an $800 device, which isn't good, because 120 FPS can actually damage your device. It's basically pushing your device, your iPad or whatever, to the max to get 120 frames, which is not good. There have been cases and reports of people's battery lives being ruined from this. So honestly, there's a ton of reasons why you shouldn't do this glitch. Basically, all of them are just listed right there. It's a thing you guys need to know before heading into this video. But now that all the disclaimers are out of the way, let's hop into the video. And I want to give a little backstory as well, because this is almost identical to what happened about a year ago in Fortnite Mobile. Now, if you guys are Fortnite Mobile OG, then you guys know that when Fortnite Mobile actually first came out, the game didn't even have 60 FPS. Literally everyone was running around with 30 FPS, no matter your operating system, your device. You could have the best device in the world and still be on 30 FPS. And it wasn't until someone in the Fortnite Mobile community did this exact same thing. It's what's going on now, is they released a tutorial on how to get 60 FPS in Fortnite Mobile. And this tutorial is the same thing as this, in which you had to go in and change certain settings in the game files. And so what this caused Epic Games to do was basically to speed up the process of getting out 60 FPS, because I think it was always on the radar for Fortnite Mobile to release 60 FPS. So I think it was maybe like a month or so afterwards that this tutorial or method came out for 60 FPS on mobile. Fortnite actually decided to finally release it officially inside of the game, so you didn't have to use this modded version of the game to get 60 frames. So ever since then, Fortnite Mobile has been stuck at 60 FPS, and so this is pretty much deja vu in a sense of that we've been stuck at 60 FPS for over a year. There are some devices that can handle 60 FPS and get the benefits from it, but Epic Games isn't releasing 120 FPS or even 90 FPS to the Fortnite Mobile community. And so what I decided to do was to go out and get 120 FPS on my iPad Pro 2018. So the gameplay you guys are going to be watching in the background from here on out is actually gameplay of 120 FPS. Now, there's a few things to mention about this. One of them is that you guys probably can't even tell I'm on 120 FPS, because YouTube videos are in 60 frames per second. So even though I'm getting double the frames I normally am, you guys can't even tell, but the FPS corner should be up there, and you guys should be able to tell how many frames I'm getting. And so that knowing my account could get banned for using the 120 FPS method, I only played for about an hour and a half with it. There's no point in playing any longer. I felt like I'd already basically got all the information I needed to for the video and for you guys. Now, the first thing I did when I got 120 FPS is I went right into creative, and I just started messing around. I started cranking, I started editing, all that good stuff. And this is the area where 120 FPS was the most noticeable. Like, I noticed my edits were a little bit cleaner and my builds were a little bit cleaner. But other than that, I really couldn't notice much in creative. My frames weren't dropping, which was really good. But I only spent about 5 to 10 minutes in creative. I'm not a creative warrior. I don't really know how to crank and all that stuff. But I feel like it did help me out a little bit. And so after creative, I hopped into a solo game. I think I played 1 or 2 games. I actually ended up winning one of the games, but this is where I ran into the first problem of using 120 FPS on mobile, and that is the fact that you get frame drops. Now, I was rocking 75% 3D res at the time of me playing this solo game, and I think I didn't even hit 120 frames in it. Like, once I loaded into the game, especially with all the snow going on now and everything that's in Fortnite, I was getting around 90 FPS, which is still good, but what is not good is the constant fluctuation of my frame rate. Sometimes I was getting like 105, 110 frames. Other times I was going down to like 70, 65. So really having that constant up and down of your frames is not good. That is not what you want. So for the entire solo games, I was battling with my frame rates, and this is where I also encountered something else for 120 FPS on mobile, and that is the fact that my aim sucked. I don't know what it was, but when I first started out on 120 FPS, like, it was weird. When I went from 30 FPS originally to 60 FPS, like, my aim was insane. I was cracked. I was hitting shots left and right. But for this, it felt weird. Like, I felt like my sensitivity was off, was too fast. It was too sensitive. I didn't know how to control my aim. For the first entire solo game, my aim sucked. There's a lot of clips you guys are going to be seeing on my aim just being trash, me not being able to play the freaking game. And so right there, I'm not getting the 120 FPS that my device is set to get. I'm fluctuating frames. My device is overheating like crazy, and that is something else. My device, I swear, if I flipped it over and cracked an egg on the back of it, it would fry the egg. Like, the back of the iPad was freaking absolutely burning while I'm using this 75% 3D res 120 FPS. And so I'm just playing this solo game. Like, is there any benefit to this? Like, is there actually any light at the end of the tunnel? Because so far, there are literally no pros to actually using this in Fortnite Mobile. But I kept on playing the solo game. I ended up winning the game. It was a pretty bot-filled lobby, to be honest, but I ended up getting the win. So after the solos, this is where definitely the most interesting part of my entire experience came from, and that was Zone Wars. Now, the first round of Zone Wars I played, I was still in the 75% 3D res. I'm still dropping frames, and all the while, I'm sort of confused as to why I'm still doing this. But I kept through. I maybe won a game, maybe or two, but it wasn't until the second game of Zone Wars in which I decided to lower my 3D res, because for some reason, I just didn't think of it. So I changed my 3D res all the way to the lowest setting. I think it's like 30 or 32%. But once I did that, that is when things started getting real. My frame rate was consistent. I was getting anywhere from 110 to 120 frame rate, really consistent in Zone Wars, which was surprising. And the graphics honestly weren't even that bad. For having 30% 3D res, I was still shooting people, still killing people, still hit my builds and my edits. And this is where I really spent the bulk of my time trying to figure out if 120 FPS is worth it or not on mobile. I think there's a point in one of the Zone Wars in which I won like 3 back-to-back games. Like, I don't know how I did it, because normally I suck at Zone Wars. And then now all of a sudden I'm popping off. I'm hitting my edits. I'm hitting my shots somehow. Like, even though my aim still feels off, the consistent 120 FPS definitely helped it out. So at this point, I'm sort of starting to see a reason for using 120 FPS. The only way you can play with it, though, is if you crank your 3D res all the way to the minimum and your game just looks like crap almost. But that's really got to figure out and test the 120 FPS to see if mobile needs it, or if it's even warranted right now for it to get added to mobile. And honestly, guys, this is my conclusion of 120 FPS. I don't think it needs to be in the game. Considering it can only be used properly on one device, which is the iPad Pro 2018 with 120 hertz display. Yeah, I don't think there's a point for it to be in the game. A lot of people keep asking, we need more frames. What about 90 FPS? What about this? Like, there's literally only 1 or 2 devices in the entire world that can run this and actually get a benefit from the frames. So I think for now, Fortnite Mobile, we need to chill out. We need to calm down. We need to wait for devices to get better. Like, if, you know, next year, this year in 2020, you know, we're getting a bunch of 120 hertz tablets and we're getting a bunch of 120 hertz phones, then honestly, I do see more of a reason for Epic Games to potentially add 120 FPS in Fortnite Mobile. Do I think it will happen one day? Yes. Do I know it's going to happen? Absolutely not. But I know for a fact after using this, that honestly, it was sort of confusing if it may be better. Yes, my builds and edits, like I said, slightly better, like maybe 10-15% better. But everything else, my aim was off. The frames are up and down. To get good frames, you gotta have absolutely horrible graphics. My device is overheating. It could potentially break or damage my device permanently, and I can get banned. So there are so many cons to use this, so many reasons to not use 120 FPS that outweigh like the 1 or 2 reasons you should use it, to the point where I'm not going to be using it. And like I said, I don't recommend you guys use it. And at the end of the day, frames don't make you better. Yes, you can pay for frames. You could buy the best PC and get the most frames. You can buy the best mobile device and get the most frames. But frames don't make you a good player. They help a lot in some situations. There are a lot more important things in Fortnite that can affect your skill, like your mechanics, the amount of fingers you play with, like things that you can actually control rather than frames that matter way more. So I think right now 120 FPS, it's cool, but it's also very dangerous, very risky, and there's just not enough reasons to use it. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I know it's a little bit weird, like this is just a straight up commentary, and the gameplay in the background, it was just gameplay in the background. So I hope this video helped you guys out in terms of explaining 120 FPS on mobile if you need it, if you don't, or if it's going to be some just crazy overpowered thing that's going to ruin the game. But trust me guys, it's not. You don't have to worry about it. For now, 60 FPS is going to be what I'm playing on and what 99.99% of the world plays on, so you don't have to worry about it at all. But on that guys, it's been your boy DuckyTheGamer on 60 FPS, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.